Firstly now, though, it's time to talk local politics, and in studio this morning we have social and political commentator John Paul Romano. John Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you going?
Pretty good. Concentrating our eyes as we get closer and closer to the ACT election, and in fact, of course, pre-poll voting commences on Monday.
That's correct. We're not allowed to call it pre-poll anymore. It's now voting period. So gone is the term election day and pre-poll, and replaced is voting period.
So the voting period commencing now right
Exactly.
through till the actual last day of that voting period, which is what we used to call election day on the 17th of October.
I guess you don't have the sausages anymore to tell you that it's election day.
Very sad, but there we go. Now, look, there's all sorts of things happening. We've had a lot of ups and downs from both sides of politics, and also the rise of Bill Stefaniak and the Belko Party. This is really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons.
I completely agree, and I want to run through a few probable scenarios as we run down from north to south. So up in Yerrabi Gungahlin, we'll see some really interesting things. We've got Deepak Raj Gupta, who was elected on countback. It'll be interesting to see, because he's unaligned, whether he gets back up or not. We've got Leanne Carsley, who is the Libs pick, and we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if she gets up. I'm not seeing a great deal of a push up in Gungahlin from candidates, and so it'll be interesting to see. Moving down, we've got Ginninderra, where I think Bill is a chance, but I also think someone on the Belko Party ticket who you shouldn't write off is one Chick Henry.
Absolutely. These are the two people on the ticket, and there are a number on the ticket, all right across the ticket, that have some profile, but they too obviously have the strongest profiles.
Yeah, well, Bill was last in 2008, I believe, and so it'll be interesting to see whether people remember him or not, and whether younger voters know of his. But driving here, I saw a lot of Belko Party signs, quite large ones on the side of the road.
A Bill Stefaniak Belko Party sign has been added to the core flutes that are on Bellenden Street as we drive down to the studios.
Next to the Patrick Pentony ones there.
Yes.
It's a very smart move.
Yep.
So the other thing in Ginninderra is that we have a Liberal Party vacancy. So Vicky Dunn's retired.
She has.
And so that means that there definitely will be one new person in Ginninderra. Now, is that Bill? Is that Casey Lamb or Peter Kane? Or is it Chick? So I think that'll be really interesting to see.
I think this is one of the real concerns that Alastair Coe has with the Canberra Liberals. Are they going to lose a seat in Belconnen? And I think perhaps they are more likely to lose the seat than the ALP in that electorate.
And I don't think that that people kind of suspect that Bill will side with the Liberal Party on a lot of things, but I don't think that's correct. I think Bill is about representing the people of Belconnen and the working class up there, and that's the kind of voters that the Labor Party should be representing, but they're all fallen through the cracks.
It's going to be, and as I say, this is why I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this happens. And the other thing, of course, is in the Northern Territory they had 50% vote before the last day of the election period, as we now call it, before election day. They're suggesting that the number could be even higher this time around. So the importance for everyone involved with the election to get their messages out and get them straight and stay consistent, which has been a bit of a problem for certainly with the Canberra Liberals with the rail, I think being spooked by Stefaniak and Bill Conant, and the comments yesterday, which I think were very unfortunate regarding school lunches.
I completely agree, and that brings us on to the next electorate, Kurrajong, where I think that really Candace Birch is a great chance of being replaced by Patrick Pentony. I think that I live in Kurrajong, and I see Patrick Pentony doing a lot of hard work, and I just see Candace Birch keep coming out of line. Like, her comments yesterday were absolutely disgusting, and she should make a full apology. There are kids who go to Hungary for a number of reasons to school, and you don't need an expert to tell you that hungry kids at school don't learn as well as kids who are well fed.
My wife, who was a teacher for many years in this city, said just that last night as we were watching that story come up on Win News.
So she should unreservedly apologise, and I think Alastair Coe should just say that is not the position of the party. It's wrong. In Kurrajong as well, I think that Someone that's lesser known but who definitely has a chance, and I like to say if they don't get elected at the election, they're an MLA in waiting, is one of Andrew Barr's ex-advisors, Jacob Ingram, who is seen as Andrew Barr's heir apparent. And so certainly they're pushing also for Miss Birch's seat, but if not, in the other opportunity they're looking at when the Chief Minister retires, Mr Ingram taking over.
Yeah, now, because another interesting facet of the Kurrajong electorate is that it sort of spreads, it's a very wide, there was a bit of a redistribution of
Deakin and Yarralumla.
It's pulled in the south side, so the more conservative end, so that may help the vote and put pressure on Labor in that seat. But there's also in the inner north, inner south, very strong support for the Greens, and we have a situation. Of course, this is Shane Rattenbury's seat,
yep,
and also his number two in that seat,
Rebecca Vassarotti. Yes.
Rebecca Vassarotti, who we've spoken to her on 2CC on a couple of occasions this year. Maybe not a chance for a seat this time, but I think she'll go close.
Yeah, well, I agree that she's definitely an MLA in waiting. She's run a number of times, and if you overlay the federal election results on Kurrajong, the Canberra Liberals lose a seat there. And so I think that if it's not a struggle for the Canberra Liberals this election, then in 2024 it may be. And I think that at some stage in the future, Kurrajong may go down to one Liberal member and then two Labor in the first three Labor in the first election. And following that, I think the Greens will take one of those seats from Labor.
Yeah, they're getting very interesting now. We've got a slightly more stable situation from now with Murrumbidgee and Brindabella. What about Murrumbidgee?
Well, Murrumbidgee, I think I've seen it's another one of these seats where there definitely will be a new MLA because Carolyn Lakuta from the Greens is retiring.
Yes.
I haven't seen what the new Greens candidate down there is doing. I haven't heard anything, to be honest, or even seen any signs. I think that Dr. Marissa Patterson from the Labor Party does have a chance. She's running a very strong campaign down there. And I think there may even be a risk for Julia Jones. Now, Julia Jones has...
Really?
Well, Julia Jones has been running a joint campaign with Jeremy Hanson.
Yeah.
And the material that is going out says vote 1 Jeremy Hanson and 2 Julia Jones. And what they could do is increase Jeremy Hanson's first preference vote and decrease Julia Jones's first preference vote. The preferences... will flow on.
I was just thinking, would there be sufficient quota, though, for Jeremy to be able to bring Julia through that way?
Well, my prediction is that certainly Jeremy Hanson's vote this election will increase. Now, if the Canberra Liberals aren't in government in October, I think that's a real risk for Alastair Coe. I think that an increased vote for Jeremy Hanson will give him support
in the party room.
In the party room.
Yeah.
Now let's move south once again to Brindabella.
Yep.
Now Brindabella actually is the electorate I believe has the most MLAs in waiting, because we've got down there Joy Birch and Mick Gentleman,
yes,
who have been in the Assembly for quite a while, and it's possible that Nicole Lauder, Joy and or Mick may not recontest the next election. Or may retire during this term, depending on circumstances. And so I think Tamus for the Labor Party down there definitely has a chance of being an MLA, as I believe Jane Hyatt for the Liberals does. But this obviously counts on them not being complacent. Complacency in Hare Clark is the one way never to be an MLA.
Well, someone who I know is not complacent, who works very hard in his electorate and has a very strong presence on social media, and there's no surprise that, of course, our old friend Mark Parton.
Yes.
I've heard some, and I haven't actually asked him this question directly, but it just strikes me that with his history in the area, a quarter of a century living in Canberra, strong local presence, local business, as well as a very successful broadcasting career, including with us, that there might be some future for Mark Parton further in the Liberal Party. But I'm not sure what his aims are, but certainly I'm expecting an increased vote there.
Yes, and one of the things is down there that I believe Mark Parton will probably be first on the Liberal ticket, if not Andrew Wall, and that'll be really interesting to see how it plays out post-election, whether the Canberra Liberals are in government or not in government. On what kind of position within the party they take.
It is. So there is the take from John Paul Romano at this stage, and I think we need to stay in touch with you, John, as we get closer and closer to the 17th of October, and I'll remember that. The election period starts Monday. There are 15 polling centres around the territory. If you go to the ACT, Australian Electoral Commission website, just type that in, you'll get all the details there. John Paul Romano, thank you for your time this morning. 18 past 9, a quick break, and then Brent Ford joins us with the latest in sport.